it here. Okay, here's the Carbon Cub. This is a Carbon Z series of the E-Flite planes. I had the Cessna, so this is pretty much going to be like a comparison between the two. I just sold my Cessna because it was starting to get ratty. I gave it away really cheap because my intention was to try this one out and then maybe get the Cessna again because I really like it. That's the Cessna 150 from E-Flite, and this is sort of like its sister. I think this is a little bit older design, but this is generation 2. So they had a generation 1 of this, which had more traditional Cub rounded wings, and then they put the squared off wings on this one. Yeah, so we're going to give this a shot. I've been flying this for a bit now, and I like it. I just don't know if I like it as much as I like the Cessna, and that's just me. I know there's other people that say that this one's better, but a lot of things I think, you know, make a better plane. You know, the way it flies, the way you put it together when you're coming to the field. So let's give this a shot. So on the Cessna, same thing. It's the tail dragger version that I had. This is the tail dragger version. This responds more like a plane. You gotta give it right rudder. You have to give it right rudder. On the Cessna, I just took off. Like I could take off fast, I could take off slow, and it just tracks straight. This one, you do have to give it right rudder when you take off. So let's go ahead and do a takeoff. I'm gonna go ahead and take off this direction. So I'm gonna line up. Check my surfaces. Flaps, good. Yep. All right, I'm gonna go no flaps. I don't think there's really any need. I'm gonna take off. I'm gonna do a nice slow takeoff. And right there, gotta give it right, gotta give it right. There it goes. Beautiful plane to watch fly. This thing is awesome. It flies around very, very nice. Now, one thing with Cubs is at slow speed, they do have a tendency, like pretty much every Cub that I've flown, does have a tendency to drop a wing when it goes into a stall, and this is no exception. So in that way, I think the Cessna is a little bit easier to fly, you know. So, and it depends on the kind of flying that you're doing. They have the same motor, so I believe these are Power 50s in here, and the Cessna had a Power 50 as well. So the way that it carries it, I think this one is. It's just a little bit different of a plane. It just doesn't fly quite the same. It does flat turns really nicely, which is really nice. Yeah, that's kind of fun.
Looks cool too.
Yeah, especially when you line it up right. Like, I'm not quite there, but there. It looks really cool. You know, now, when I was flying the Cessna, the one thing that I really loved about it was hover and high alpha. You can do that on the Cessna, and on this, it could be my battery replacement, it could be other things, but I do have a little bit more difficult time trying to hover this thing. This is a stock motor. I know other people have put like the Power 60 in it and can get it to hover good, but this one still got the stock motor in it. But let's go ahead and try it. So here, I'm gonna go here, straighten up, take it up to a hover. Now, I gotta fight the controls a little bit more to keep it there, but you can do it. You know, so you can do it. It's just on the Cessna was a little bit easier to do, and both of them are near the top of the stick. So you got to be like 3/4 to full throttle. Probably a little bit more on the Cessna. You got to be a little bit more power. But this plane and that, it's different. So on the Cessna, the other thing that I could do is I could high alpha it. And this one I can't. Like as soon as I try to high alpha it. Here, let's go right about there. It starts, that's dropping a wing, it's dropping a wing, there it is. You know, so it's a little bit harder. There might be settings I can do to try to make that a little bit easier, but right now it's not really that great for me. You know, everything else is actually really good on this. So the roll rate on this is better than a Cessna. So I'm gonna go a little bit more, just a little bit more speed. So I'm about 3/4 throttle right there. Come over here, I'll straighten up and let's roll it. So the roll rate's really good on this. You know, inverted flight's easy, just like the Cessna. You know, about half throttle over here. And look at that, very, very nice. This is a good flying plane. I think the Cessna is a little bit easier flying plane than this, you know. But I have no problems. I mean, this thing is awesome, you know. So it actually flies really good. I guess I like the Cessna better. Is what it seems like, you know. But you know, the roll rate is awesome. The spins are really nice. Inverted flat spin is really nice. Not, you know, not fully flat, but it's actually really nice. And let's try a positive one. Is anybody? Yeah, there's somebody. Oh, Bruce is out. Okay. Make sure to keep it on this side. Yeah, it's pretty.
Oh yeah.
It looks cool. And of course, the slow flight's good. So I'm going to go ahead and take this, and I'm going to come over here. Let's go ahead and give it half flaps. And this thing slows down very, very nice. Same thing, you do got to watch it because it'll drop a wing if you go a little bit too slow, but the envelope's pretty good. In order to get to that, you got to be flying real slow, you know, so it's not bad. It's okay, you know.
Yeah, for a big plane
For
especially.
a big plane. It's really nice. You can fly this thing nice and slow. Yeah, it'll do a pass over here. When you are dropping a wing like that, you want to give it a little bit of power so that you're not near stall. But look at that. It flies nice and slow. And this is just half flaps. You know, so here I'm going to go full flaps. That's full. And it's going to rise on me, so I got to find that happy point where it's not too much. Let's see here. Let's go here. That's a stall right there. Right there. That's good. But it does go slow. It's actually very, very nice. It's a very, you know, and the stall is easy. It's not like, you know, it's unrecoverable. This thing is actually very easy to fly. You know, the only problem that I have is the Cessna's better. You know, and I'm not full 3D, you know, and I'm not like, you know, well, I'm probably not even near like the really good pilots, but for me, the way that it tracks, how easy it is to do maneuvers, the Cessna is really, really good. This one, if you know how to fly, there's no problem with this plane. There's absolutely no problem with it. You know, this thing flies good. But the other part of it too is that this plane is older design than the Cessna. The Cessna is newer. I'll go through at the end of this video. I'm going to go through like on a bench with this plane, and I'll show you how to take this thing apart and put it together. And that's one of the biggest difference between this plane and the Cessna. Is the Cessna is one wing bolt and one strut pin per wing, and that's it. This thing, I think I counted it, and I think it was 12. 4 screws and 8 connectors, or 8 pins that you got to put in to put the wing on, and you got to put the servo connections on individually instead of just, you know, put it like it's not built into the wing, in other words. So, you know, overall, I mean, I'm sure it's more that this is an older design than the Cessna. The Cessna is a newer design, so because of that, you know, they sort of, you know, went through and thought out, you know, different things, but that's the only problem is like this thing, it's good. There's nothing wrong with it, but the Cessna's just got so much going for it, much better. So there we go.
Nice landing.
Yeah, this is a good plane. And I'm not going to put anything against it saying that this is a bad plane. This is a very, very good plane. The Carbon Z series I really like, and the main reason why I like it is the Carbon Zs, they don't really build it super scale. They build it for flying. So if you look, the windows on that thing, they're not real windows, it's just painted. You know, so they're doing everything to keep the plane light and make it a flyer, you know. So this is a good plane, but I think it's just because it's an older design than the Cessna that they got more stuff right on the Cessna than they did on this plane. So, you know, still like it, and I still fly it a lot, and there's no problem with it, but you know, when I compare it between the two, man, that Cessna is awesome. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put this thing on a bench. We'll go ahead and take a look at like how to put it together and some of the good points and the bad points about it. All right.
Cool.
All right, so that's next. All right, so this is the Carbon Cub from E-Flite, and it's the Carbon Z series of the Carbon Cub. So yeah, that gets confusing, but it's not. It's well, I don't know. It's weird. Anyways, so I just want to talk about this plane, and one of the things that I don't quite like about it is the fasteners to put everything together. So a couple of things. So first of all, each wing has a pin and a clip, so like an E-clip or cotter pin or something, but it's more of like an E-clip. Like, but it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 per wing. So there's 4 for the other ones, and the older you get, the harder it is to find that little freaking like hole to put the pin through. So it gets a little bit annoying, but on top of that, okay, you've got 4 bolts over here to put the wing in. So the wings go through this way. The Cessna is a newer design, and what they did was they have only 1 pin for here, 1 bolt for the wing that goes through this way, so it holds the wing in, which I kind of like better. But half the reason why they did that was because the connectors, the servo connectors over here, are part of the wing. So when you put the wing on and you press it together, it's connected. This one, individual connectors, they were on a little stand over there, but you still got to pop them in from the wing and make sure the wires are clear when you do it. So putting this thing together is a little bit more of a task, and the main problem is this is a big plane, so there's not that many people that can actually carry it all together. So you do have to do that. That's the thing. Yeah.
Transport is an issue.
Yeah, the landing gear is really nice. They do make it so that it's got a spring on it, and it does have like a lot of spring to it, which is good and bad, because it's got a lot of spring to it. It's hard to do a landing without a little bounce, so you got to like pretty much grease it and nail it to get one that you don't have a little bit of a bounce. But I guess that does save the plane. So this plane is very, very good, but it is an older design. They do make a little compartment. Let me see if I've got my other one. Yep, here it is. So I bought another one so I can have another battery. So they make this little compartment here, and this compartment is what you put your battery on, and then you slide it into place. I have mixed feelings about it. I think it's a good idea. I think they didn't have a choice because it's so deep in there that trying to get a strap around it, it's going to be a pain in the butt. So I think they did the right thing. But you're kind of limited as to where you put your battery now, because you got to put it into a certain spot. Looks like you got more on the back than you do on the front, but it looks like for me, I've only found one area that it can go in. So you've got a little bit of room on the stand to move the battery. So if your battery is this big, you can move it a little bit, but you don't have a lot of room. So again, I think this is an older design. The Cessna's newer, so they got a lot of the kinks worked out of it, but still like it. So this is version 2 of the Cub, and the wings are different. And I'm assuming that they did that to fix some of the stall characteristics of a Cessna. I'm sorry, of a Cub, but it still is a tip stall. It does tip stall pretty easily, compared to the Cessna. So do I like it? I think if you're going to get one of them, if you're looking at deciding on the Carbon Z series of getting the Cessna or the Cub, my personal opinion, the Cessna's a little bit better. I think it's just got, depending on your type of flying, but for the way that I fly, the Cessna's just got a little bit more stability. It's just inherently in the design. And to put it together and to take it apart for transport, this is a pain in the ass, and the Cessna is super freaking easy. So the foam, I think, is similar. It's the same. So I've been more careful with this plane than I was on my Cessna, because that one I just sort of like take the wings off, throw it in the car. This one I've been a little bit more careful to try to keep it a little bit nicer. And I think with this type of foam, you do have to do that. You do have to be a little bit more careful, but it's definitely not been as beat up as my Cessna, because I've been trying to take care of it.
That's for sure.
Yeah. But I fly this. I do like it. So I don't want it to seem like that this is a bad plane. I'm just comparing it to its sister plane. you know, and I think the other one for me is a better plane overall. So I think I'll probably get another one, you know, at some point because it is such a great flying plane. This one, it's not that it's bad, but just comparing it to the other plane, it's just not as good. I've heard people put this is a 50, an E-Flite 50 motor in here, and I've heard people put the Power 60 in here, and to get a lot more performance, and that might be something that I'm going to try. And I do plan to float fly this, so having a little bit more power is probably good. Not that you fly this plane fast, but having the power is good. So yeah, that's it. I think again, I think it's a great plane. It flies really, really good, but in my opinion, comparing it to the Cessna is just a little bit more stable, easier to put together. You know, overall experience, I think the Cessna is a better plane. But if you like the Cub and you like the look of the Cub, you're not going to go wrong with this. I mean, even though it is a pain to put it together, especially, you know, my eyes are getting not quite as good when I'm, you know, doing close stuff and trying to find that. It's just a little bit more, it's just a little bit harder, but, you know, still, it's not like it's stopping me from, like, just leaving it at home. I take this thing out a lot and I still fly it. So, very good plane. Horizon, I think they did it again. I think it is a great plane. Hopefully they come out with a new version that makes the actual disassembly and assembly a little bit easier for transport. So if they do come out with a new version, if they do that, that would make me very, very happy. Besides that, it's good. I don't fly this thing in safe mode. I don't know what that's like. I never turned it on. But flying it just regular mode with, I guess it's built in AS3X, it's really tuned nicely, and I think it's a good plane. All right, so that's it. You know, hopefully that this, you know, this is helpful to you. I know everyone's opinion is different. This is my opinion. You know, I'm not saying that, like, you know, this is a bad plane. This is not. This is a great plane. All right, that's it. Take care.
All right, guys.